it looks, as of today, like Trump has the votes in the Senate to get a Supreme Court nominee confirmed and through to the seat recently left vacant by Ruth Bader Ginsburg's departure. So now we have to figure out, what are the Democrats planning next? Because right now, I understand the inclination would be for all of us to say, okay, the Republicans have every right to do this. As much as Democrats whine about it, doesn't matter. They have a constitutional, not only clear designation for this, they have an obligation. I think that's a better way of putting it. Here is the vice president saying just that. Play 14.
President Trump believes that he has an obligation under the Constitution of the United States to put forward a nominee for the Supreme Court. There have been 29 times that there have been vacancies since George Washington through Barack Obama. In all 29 cases, the president has made a nomination to the Supreme Court during an election year. And President Trump believes that it's his responsibility and his duty to do that again. The Senate's role is to advise and consent, and we're working already with the Republican leadership in the Senate to make arrangements for the process to move forward. But we believe, judging from history, I believe Justice Ginsburg was confirmed within 43 days of her nominations. Justice Sandra Day O'Connor in less time than that.
So it's been done in less time. It's been done many times under the same circumstances. And there's no rule, there's no law, there's nothing to prevent it. There's not even a precedent to prevent it. So the libs are flailing right now. They're trying to come up with some argument that will turn the tide in favor for them, and they're not succeeding. Because we do have the ability to go back and look at what's happened in the past, and we also understand that there's the obligation of politics here, too. Why do we vote for the president as Republicans? Why do we vote for these various senators if when they finally have the opportunity to do what they have been promising to do, they don't do it? How could we think they have the courage of their convictions if they refuse to take the opportunities that come to them to fulfill promises? I mean, it would be a choice to not fulfill this promise to Republican voters. Why would they do that? Out of some misplaced sense of fair play? Got to tell you, I had been thinking that Mitt Romney would find the first opportunity possible to try and back out of this just because of spite against Trump. But it seems perhaps Mitt Romney recognizes that there's no real argument here. There's no real argument against what the president's trying to do. There's the only pseudo arguments, bad faith arguments. I saw a piece by Never Trumpers, David French and Jonah Goldberg making the rounds about how what's best for our republic would be to cave to Democrat demands here under the promise that they then won't pack the Supreme Court, as if that's a concession to us. First of all, if anyone believes that Democrats would keep a promise not to pack the Supreme Court based upon this nomination battle, they probably also believe that Jussie Smollett was attacked by two MAGA hat wearers in Chicago at 1 o'clock in the morning yelling, "This is MAGA country." If you believe one, you probably believe the other, which is not a good indication of one's intelligence. Democrats will break their word on this. Democrats were all on the opposing side of the table in 2016. They did not, or 2015. 2016. They did not care. They simply, it doesn't matter to them that they're all on the record telling us that of course the president has this power in election. Of course he should be able to. That was when they thought they could strong arm us into going with Merrick Garland. That was when they believed if they had the media and enough whiny law professors and former prosecutors and other people that we're supposed to revere, and I don't know why, but if we had enough of that, they believed that we would be able to, we would cave and they'd get what they want. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And Mitch McConnell deserves a lot of credit because they tried the pressure campaign then. They tried all the stuff that they're making in terms of arguments now. Plus, now you got to add to it, they're camping outside of people's homes, no sleep for Lindsey Graham, no sleep for Mitch McConnell, looking for weak links in this chain. I thought Romney would be a weak link. So far, we'll see. I'm not giving Romney an attaboy until we see whether or not he actually does his duty here to the voters of Utah. Right. KNRS, a great station out in Salt Lake City, having added us to their lineup. I know the folks in Utah, not all of them love Trump. A lot of them do. Not all of them love Trump, but they do expect somebody who is a Republican senator from the great state of Utah to support this most important of tasks for conservatism, for constitutionalism in the Republican Party, getting us a judge that will truly tip the balance away from what it has been for decades. You see, Democrats have gotten a little too smug and emotionally and intellectually complacent when it comes to the court. They're so used to, at this point, just being able to count on the court coming up with nonsense, with legislation by fiat of a bunch of lawyers who have been appointed as judges. And Ginsburg was one of the best examples of that. I mean, Ginsburg was using the Supreme Court as a super legislature, which is not what it is supposed to be. But it was always the stopgap against legislation. It was a stopgap against the representative form of government that we have, our republic, that even if the people wanted something, voted for someone, and that leader then tried to execute on the promise, the lib Supreme Court would step in and say, nope, we see a different thing here. We see a right that no one else had been able to figure out in 200 years. We see an interpretation of this language that's not English, but who cares? We make it up as we go along. That's what they've been doing. In fact, Mitt Romney is correct when he points out, and look, Mitt had his good moments back in the day. He crushed Obama in that first presidential debate. Of course, Obama went on to win, but it was an embarrassing performance for Barack Obama. Everybody knew it. And Mitt Romney does have his capabilities. I wish he hadn't marched with BLM. That was a lame, cowardly move, but he did. But here he is, at least understanding what's going on with liberals and the court and their perception that what has been will always be. Not the case. Play 17.
Well, I think it's straightforward in terms of the qualifications you look for, which is someone who is an expert of the law, someone who has a record of fairness and judgment that you think is consistent with the law. I prefer choosing those folks who are, if you will, strict constructionists, meaning that they look at the law itself and the Constitution, as opposed to sort of looking into the sky and pulling out ideas that they think may be more appropriate than either the law or the Constitution. So I recognize that we may have a court which has more of a conservative bent than it's had over the last few decades. But my liberal friends have, over many decades, gotten very used to the idea of having a liberal court. And that's not written in the stars. And I know that a lot of people are saying, gosh, we don't want that change. I understand the energy associated with that perspective. But it's also appropriate for a nation which is, if you will, center-right, to have a court which reflects center-right points of view, which, again, are not changing the law from what it states, but instead following the law and following the Constitution.
What Mitt says here is correct. Right? Truth is truth, whether it comes from Mitt Romney or anybody else. Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.